Hi Aquarius, I am here to do your full year 2026 tarot reading in love. And I'm going to be looking at every single month, all 12 months, starting in this month of January here, for those of you who are in and out of a relationship. I'm going to be using a deck called the Yokai Tarot deck, which we are zoomed out right now, but you are going to get to zoom in and get a nice close look at these cards so we can see exactly what's being discussed in all of this. And this is going to give us the main energy of every single month. And then I'm going to pull out another deck. That next deck is going to be a Dark Empath, it's called the Dark Fantasy Tarot deck, which will show some extra events or extra energies that are going to be happening in a given month. Now, these cards, although they have depictions of dark tarot and Japanese mythological figures on it, they are both decks that are based off of the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. So we're going to get the interpretations that are in line with the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. The traditional tarot. Most decks are based off of the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, these decks included. And for those of you guys who have never seen how I read tarot, I love to incorporate spirituality, science, psychology, biology, mythology into my readings. So there may be points in time where I talk about historical avenues in this reading so that you can get a better understanding of what you can expect in the microcosm of your experience and in your life. Now, the timestamps, I'm just going to write down on this piece of paper here for each month. In the event that you want to check out this reading in the future, I'm going to put the timestamps in the description of the video so that you can always go back to a month and re-watch it again if you need to. Like if we're in the month of September and it's been many months since you've seen this video, you might want to check out September, so there will be a quick way for you to get to the month of September or whatever month you're looking at. So with that being said, at this 2 minute and 4 second mark, let's start off with your energy for the month of January. And let's get a good zoom in here. Oh, also, if you see a little hand in the upper corner, my son is sleeping right next to me. If he wakes up, I will take care of him. I'll just pause the video and go do my mommy duties. If you guys can work with me on that, because I am a mom on my own, I thoroughly appreciate it. I can always do readings for you guys if you guys allow me to do things for myself as well. All right, so in terms of love and romance, you're starting off the month of January, which we are already a week and a half into when I'm doing this reading. We're starting it off with the Five of Cups. This is a card of feeling a sense of loss, no matter what way you look at it. When you're looking at this card here of Japanese mythological understanding, this man is staring at cups, Japanese cups, that have spilled over, not realizing that there are two cups if he only turned around and could see that there was still some good that's going to be happening in a situation here. That's the same dynamic of energy that you see on the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck. A black figure, a black cloaked figure who is looking at cups because he's dealing with some kind of a loss. The additional card that you get from the Dark Fantasy Tarot deck is the King of Cups energy. This is somebody who wants to be in a relationship, but can be very guarded, can sometimes be a little suspicious even. But what I really love about this energy for the King of Cups is that it is a man who deals with fairness. Now, when I say a man, I mean this particular person here. This is a person who likes to serve others. This is a person who loves fairness. They love justice. There's actually qualities about the King of Cups in tarot in terms of justice that sometimes outweigh even the King of Swords in historical tarot. Modern tarot readers tend to miss that if you were to read instruction booklets or books on tarot like The Pictorial Key to the Tarot, a book from 1910 that discusses the King of Cups. That's a book written by the very author, Arthur Edward Waite, who created the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. In his own words, the King of Cups is the one who deals with all fairness, especially in law and business. Now, when we have these two together, let's divide this up into people who are in a relationship, then also people who are separated from a relationship, also people who might be in the friend zone, and people who are just beginning to consider going out into the world and dating. So these are the four categories that we're going to deal with throughout every single month when we do this. For those of you who are in a relationship, there may have been a loss of fairness and balance that has occurred in your relationship. And it was something that perhaps happened because of a logistical aspect, sometimes connected to contractual things, legal things, business things that you and your partner might have had to have gone through. It also might be coming out of somebody having an immense sense of responsibility for something that they have to do. Maybe somebody has to take care of some kind of thing in all fairness. And because of the loss and the weight of their decisions, it's impacting the relationship. This could also be that there was something that happened that was unfair in the past in the relationship. And maybe a person is viewing that thing that felt lost at the time as the loss itself, as the unfair loss. Now, for those of you who are separated from a partner, that would be it. That would be the loss. What's interesting, though, is that the separation with the card of fairness almost insinuates that it's proper that the separation happened. That it may be wise to think of the gratitude that comes from the separation, like the things that you have left over, that you still have this ability to feel almost gifted to you from the universe, like the downtime or the ability to think about yourself or the ability to put yourself first to really balance things out. I think balance is a unique quality of these two cards here because after all, these hanging cups in that card, in terms of the decoration of it, they need to stay balanced in order to stay hanging up there. If they end up unbalanced, they're going to fall to the ground and crash. So there is balance energy showing up in both of these cards. For those of you who are in a maybe friend zone situation, or perhaps you've had your eye on somebody, but you haven't actually been in a relationship with this person, either you or the person you're dealing with is probably focusing on a loss of sorts. And it's kind of taking their primary energy, because the Five of Cups is about somebody who is overly focused on the loss. They may not be focused so much on coming into a relationship for the sake of you and them, but they're more focused on fairness and balance in their own life. And this could be you as well. Perhaps you're not joining up with somebody because you know that it's not the right time. And for those of you who are interested in starting to date, there may be something to be said about how you might hold on to things from the past, over focusing on losses from the past that you can be tackling and negotiating within yourself in this year, in this month of January 2026, where it almost seems reasonable to get your own self into a fair and orderly balance before going forward into the world of dating, so that you're not overly focusing on some of the negative hurt or bringing some of the negative hurt inwards. Overall, because the Five of Cups is present, it insinuates in the month of January that there's a more bummerish energy. And by bummer, don't mind me, I'm from the 1980s and 1990s. I'm showing my age a little bit here. But if you don't know what it means to be bummed out, right, it means that there's more irritability and there's more focus on a loss that's happening in January. Let's look at the month of February. Because what we will see when we do these readings is that as we progress into the next months, each month is probably going to show some kind of a thing, some kind of an energy, or even sometimes an answer about stuff that was happening in the month before. Like we get to say to ourselves, okay, in the month of February, did anything change? Like, are we still in that kind of bummed out energy? And your card for February, Aquarius, is the Empress in the reversal. I'm going to pull out that extra dark empath, dark fantasy tarot card here to get more of an indication. Because the Empress card is the card of a lack of self-nurturing and a feeling of a lack of abundance. It's like a woman who doesn't feel good in their own skin. It's this feeling that something's missing. Like the Empress, historically speaking, if you were to look at the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck, that's a depiction of the Great Mother. You could say Mother Earth, Mother Spirit. She's sitting in an abundant garden. And historically, Arthur Edward Waite mentioned that that garden that she sits in is the earthly paradise, not the heavenly paradise, but the Empress rules the earthly paradise. And the earthly paradise is not a bad thing. The earthly paradise has abundance, food, warmth, cushioning to sit on, growth all around her, trees, fresh air. So imagine an empress who's sitting amongst all of that beauty and all of that nature, and yet she doesn't feel good in her own skin. That's why the Empress card is a card of a difficulty with self-nurturing. It usually does insinuate that there is not only a problem with the Empress, but the potential of people of authority in their life, because the Empress's consort is the Emperor. That can represent difficulties within a partnership for those of you who are in a relationship. Difficulties in getting with your partner for those of you who are not in a relationship and are separated. Feeling that sense of loneliness because the Empress wants her partner. And for those of you who, again, are not yet dating anybody, but you're thinking about going out into the world of dating, it's that insinuation that there is a need for self-love first, and an understanding of what needs to be worked on before venturing into the world of dating. Now, the clarification card, or the extra energy card here we have, is the Justice card. It's the Justice card in the reversal. And I just said that what happens in these readings, if you've ever gotten a full year private reading from me, you'll watch this happen all the time. I had mentioned it looked like there was some kind of an imbalance that was happening in the month of January. And look at the Justice card is here. It is the card of balance. And in the reversal, what do you think it means? It means there is an imbalance. And whatever that imbalance is, because it's showing up 2 months in a row, it means it's already happened before you get into February. It's not about an imbalance happening in the month of February. It's one that you're already experiencing in January. The imbalance, you probably feel it right now, but what it's leading you to feel is more drained in your own self-nurturing, because the Empress is in the reversal position. So we are hoping for the solution to your problems to come in January, and it doesn't look like it does. We are hoping the solutions to this imbalance come in February, and it also doesn't look like it does. So let's check out at this 12-minute mark the month of March and see what we have here. We have a distinctively Aquarian energy, even though the Three of Coins is not a card typically looked at as the sign of Aquarius. I know tarot readers out there will be like, that's not the sign of Aquarius. That's the Three of Pentacles. That's more of an earth sign energy, as an example, because pentacles are connected to the grounding suit. But most people forget, or maybe they've never even really investigated the history of tarot. Maybe they just do modern tarot reading and follow people on YouTube, which, hey, I'm a YouTube tarot reader, so don't get me wrong on that. But a lot of people attribute tarot to astrological signs. And Arthur Edward Waite actually didn't do that. The traditional tarot that most people's decks are based off of is not about bringing astrology into the cards. That is more of the kind of energy that you find from people who are modifying tarot aspects from a secret order, not just secret, but now it's known, but the Golden Order of the Hermetic Dawn. Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. I just tripped that word up. Which Arthur Edward Waite was a part of until he wasn't. He disagreed with many of the avenues of things that they were doing in that order. But a lot of people interpret tarot nowadays based off of that. So when I say that this card looks Aquarian, even though Arthur Edward Waite does not give this card an astrological energy, here's why I mean that. What does Arthur Edward Waite say about the Three of Pentacles in the reversal? Pettiness. Distinctively Aquarian. I love Aquariuses. I get along with them well. I'm a Libra, okay? So I'm saying that knowing the air energy aspect of pettiness can be used quite well with you Aquarians. And that particular card, the Three of Pentacles in the reversal, when Arthur Edward Waite described it, he used the word petty in conversations. That's not a new phrase. Petty's been used for a long time. That word has been around to describe situations between people for over 100 years plus. And Arthur Edward Waite was a petty individual himself, so I'm not surprised to see that a man like him would attribute the meaning of pettiness to the Three of Pentacles. Now, the Three of Pentacles is traditionally a depiction of people who are coming together. And when they come together, they're usually building a house on the regular tarot that we're all used to. They've got boxes in their hand. They've got a hammer and chisel. They're building an archway. They're decorating some coins at the top. The things that you would do if you ever decided to move location. So for some of you, just as a heads up, there could be relocation for you that happens in the month of March. Now, I'm in a love reading, I know, but that's another thing that tends to happen when we're in the middle of a 12-month reading. Not everybody's year is going to be about love. So sometimes other events actually show up. That's why I do use 2 decks, because I know multiple events can show up in a person's year. So I'm just saying, just putting it out there. Some of you Aquarians might consider doing a little bit of traveling or moving to a location in that month of March. But what we also have as pairing with the card of pettiness is the Queen of Pentacles in the reversal. And this one's a little bit frustrating because the Queen of Pentacles in the reversal is the card of being evil. That's the actual understanding that the Queen of Pentacles gets from Arthur Edward Waite over 100 years ago. Queen of Pentacles in the reversal, a lot of people say, is a card of lack of groundedness, which is true because she's supposed to be the queen of grounded, of being realistic. And when you put her in the reversal, then there's a measure of room to understand that this might be a card about a lack of groundedness. But again, if you merge the energy of petty with evil, you get a really messy circumstance. You get an energy where somebody could be snotty. That's pretty much the energy of it. So for those of you who are in a relationship, for the month of March, it doesn't necessarily fare that much better. It insinuates that you might be dealing with somebody who's a little bit snotty, but also because I'm not saying Aquarians are snotty, but when you do get frustrated, you can have a propensity towards being snotty. And I love you for it because you're quick-witted with it too. You're sharp with your words. You know exactly where to hit them where it hurts. And that may be some kind of an energy that's coming from your side, but it also could be from a partnership. So there could be dynamics of ungroundedness and a little bit of snooty energy that comes from the month of March. And for those of you who are separated from your person already, and you've been waiting to see if over the first few months, if you guys return back together, there might actually be, it doesn't have to be full-blown snootiness, but it could be condescension. Like somebody who's speaking in almost like a dismissive attitude. Especially with the the 3 of Pentacles. In the upright, like I said, it's people coming together, but in the reversal, it's people separating. So it can come with that vibe of someone looking at you and just saying, I don't even want you near me right now. And I know that's a heavy energy, but I'm speaking the truth here. I'll always tell you guys the truth. I'm not sugarcoating shit when I do readings. I love the historical depth that can teach people lessons. And sometimes in life, we have to go through lessons like that. So again, bringing in that energy here, we can see what it's like for those of you in a relationship, and those of you out of a relationship, you might be dealing or feeling dismissed. But for those of you who are not yet in a relationship and you're thinking about dating, you may begin to speak with somebody at some point between the months of March and February, and it doesn't lift off. And because it doesn't lift off, at some point, likely in March, but it could be in the month of February with the Empress card, where you just start talking to someone and then you don't really, maybe you don't hear from them for like 2 weeks. And by the time you get into March, you feel dismissed because of it. You feel like that person didn't value you and maybe they thought something was wrong, and it might kind of dig at your self-worth a little bit. But is that going to change now in the month of April? This is what we're hoping, that Aquarians don't just have shitty cards all the way out. And I don't think that's the case because I do see some better cards coming later on in the year. But we're going to have to talk about that when we get to those months. First, let's get into the month of April at this here 18-minute and 52-second mark. And we've got a unique concept coming in. It's not all about things getting better. It is the Page of Swords, though. And the Page of Swords is so funny to me because, like I like to keep things historical, the archaic, maybe you can say, the older traditional understanding of the Page of Swords was the card of the spy. Everybody nowadays is like, oh my gosh, somebody's spying on your social media. We got the Page of Swords. Yeah, it's true. Somebody could be spying on you in this particular energy, because the Page of Swords wasn't just a spy for the sake of being a spy. They were actually traditionally the spy that was sent from the king. Because remember, tarot has a lot of medieval energy to it. Castles, court cards, kings, queens, buildings falling over, fortresses, people on knights in shining armors, and the page is one such energy. But it was the spy boy. It was the little boy that nobody expected that a king was going to send around to gain some information. And so this is a time of gaining information. If not somebody spying on you, you could very much be gathering information on somebody else. It is in the upright position, so I do like that because usually the spying that happens has a more justifiable reason. Like in the reversal, it's just the negative qualities of spying. Somebody who's being malicious, they're trying to dig up dirt, they want to start problems. But in the upright position, the Page of Swords is somebody who still has a good interest at heart. They're not trying to meddle, they just want to kind of observe. It's observational energy. Ooh, my goodness. 10 of Cups is here. Who are you spying on? Who have you got your eye on, or who has their eye on you? Because the 10 of Cups that's the card of completion of the things that make you happy. But it's not the main energy for that month. For some reason, and I might pull an extra card here, for some reason you're observing the possibility of happiness. Or someone is looking at you and they are observing the possibility. That maybe when you felt distant or dismissive from someone in the previous month, you might have felt dismissive. You might have felt separated from someone, and maybe there were some harsh words said, but I'm going to tell you, in the month of April, their eye is on you still. Even if it's somebody that you've just potentially started to communicate with in the world of dating the previous month, they didn't actually just disappear. This person's still probably checking up on you, but they're holding back for some reason. There's an energy, again, of someone observing, but the 10 of Cups is when you come together, love, family. But again, it's not your main event. It's the clarification of why somebody is watching you or why you're watching them. Let's pull one of those clarification cards here and just see 1 point further what it is that somebody's doing. Ace of Swords. It's victory. It's somebody who's trying to contemplate how to get a victory out of a love dynamic. And they're watching and observing. Ace of Swords is also about a point in time where someone wants to start their communication. So it looks like somebody's watching and observing for that very moment when they can speak up about something. It could be you. It could be you bracing to be able to talk to your partner about something, but you're holding back a bit. Or it could be them. And for those of you who are not in a relationship, you could be waiting on that time when you want to text this person. Or that person might be spying on you. If you're not the one doing the spying, then it's your person who could be watching you and is waiting for that moment where they can communicate. What I think is interesting, though, is 10 of Cups insinuates victory. Ace of Swords insinuates victory. So this person isn't trying to keep things malicious. There's a person who's watching that actually is interested in having victory with you. But for some reason, they are holding back until the right moment. They're being very logical about it. They almost feel very air sign energy, but almost like very Gemini. That moment, that dualistic energy of wanting to talk, but not quite wanting to talk. Now, here's where things get unique. Let's move on to the month. Let me grab my pen here and write down the time at the 23-minute mark and 19 seconds. I'm just writing these down so that I can put those timestamps in the description for you. We're going to talk about the month of May, where you got the Devil card. And the Devil card, it is in the reversal position. It can look nerve-wracking to people. It looks nerve-wracking because when people hear the aspect of the Devil, they always think, oh my gosh, am I getting myself into trouble? What kind of bad things am I doing? But there is a very cool mythological story that I'm going to talk to you about the Devil card. Because Arthur Edward Waite, yes, he was into Christian mysticism. And he absolutely appreciated Judaistic, Kabbalistic traditions. But he made a very sneaky note where he mentioned this story about the Albigensians, which is a Gnostic Christianity concept. Not usually in agreement with Kabbalism, not usually in agreement with Christians, modern Christians especially. In their traditions, Arthur Edward Waite, would have known, especially after all of the discoveries that were made about Gnosticism and the fact that one of Arthur Edward Waite's primary influences was a man named Jacob Boehme. I think he was from the 1500s or later. In any case, Jacob Boehme studied Gnosticism and was very influential to the understanding of these tarot cards and what modern Gnosticism looks like once we discovered ancient Gnosticism. Anyways, that's a whole long blurb of a sentence to say that there was once a group of people that Arthur Edward Waite talked about, and they believed that the devil was much different than what you look at and what you'd think of with the devil card. Essentially, this old Christian belief, the Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Empire once looked at these old Christians and said, you guys, like, off with your head. You guys need to be persecuted. The Great Crusades happen. And one of the Great Crusades was to demolish this particular group of Christians that Arthur Edward Waite had spoken of, the Albigensians. And these Christians who were persecuted, they believed their Christianity was the true Christianity and that the Catholic Church was trying to steal the truth about Christianity. In their belief systems, they believed that the Garden of Eden, where humanity supposedly fell because they ate an apple, in modern Catholicism, we fell because of a great tragedy. We ate of the apple. The woman ate the apple. The serpent deceived man. It was this whole mess. But in Christianity, in a mystic sense, and for the people who believed that they were holding the true Christianity, they used to believe that the fall from the Garden of Eden was supposed to happen. We were always meant to come out of that garden. And in fact, the serpent is not the bad guy in their stories. We look at the serpent like the devil, right? In a modern sense. But to them, the devil was a different character. Because of this story of the Garden of Eden, in a Christian mysticism basis, being about how somebody was in the bondage of the Garden of Eden and fell out of it, but fell out of it because they were supposed to get out of that bondage, Arthur Edward Waite then interpreted the understanding of the devil card in connection with that, and we can look at the macrocosm of that story and put it into the microcosm of your life, which means the devil card is now not about getting out of the bondage of the Garden of Eden, but it's about getting out of the bondage of what you were trapped in. You see how that story makes sense now? It also insinuates that whatever you were in as a difficult situation, you were supposed to be there, and you were meant to get out of it. That's why I like the devil card in the reversal. The devil card, when it's in the upright position, is usually things like obsession, bad habits. Think the 7 deadly sins. And the fact that you didn't get that means that there's a shift that is happening that's taking you out of a habit that you were stuck in that particular month of May. For some of you, the bad habit could be lust. For some of you, the bad habit could be overthinking and anxiety. For some of you, it could be smoking, eating, substance use. Whichever habit it is that you have, overspending maybe, whatever habit it is, you're releasing some kind of a burden, some kind of a habit by the time you get to the month of May. The 3 of Cups is here. I'm going to tell you on one avenue, because the 3 of Cups has to do with indulgence, some of you are getting rid of the habit of substances, drinking, alcohol. Some of you are getting rid of bodily things like overeating, because this is a card of feast and celebration. Some of you will actually choose to make yourself healthier physically in that month. In the alternative, though, the 3 of Cups is a card of coming together with people. That's why the 3 of Cups has a depiction of people who have come together to celebrate. So if you have felt stuck and on your own, suddenly it becomes that month of May where you come together with people. And that can absolutely include the separation that you once had from a particular partner where you were feeling more distant. It brings the energy and the dynamic that somebody who was once spying and observing in the month before might actually come together with somebody when you get in the month of May. Is it in its full aspect, though? Is it just because you unite with somebody in the month of May that now you're living in sunshines and rainbows? Well, we're going to look at the month of June and we're going to see how that unfolds. Let's see if it's a lovely, dovey experience you get in that next month. June, you do have a good card here. It's the Ace of Wands, but it is in the reversal position. And so I will say that it is passion and it is joy. And so the energy does continue. You do come together with somebody, and then it continues into the month of June, but there is one stark warning about the Ace of Wands in the reversal. Oh, my son just woke up next to me. He wants some apples. And that warning is that the joy that you have in that month is clouded joy. When I say clouded joy, it means experiencing something where you think it's all sunshine and roses, but there might actually be a downfall to it. Where you have so much fun with somebody. You're off and doing your own thing, but you're not necessarily looking at the far off distance repercussions of, well, potentially rushing into something too quickly or having an experience with somebody that's not necessarily grounded. Fun and joyous and passionate, yeah, but grounded in long-term foundational stability, not quite. Let's pull another card here. This is unique. It's interesting because it's the card of the Temperance. And just a moment ago, I had mentioned that it could be that you rush into something in the month of June. And the Temperance card is the exact opposite of that. It is a reminder not to do something hasty. And so I think that's why this is here. I think that you may end up communicating with somebody and the flow of your conversations and your being with this person or talking to this person goes so well, so quickly that you act a little bit rashly and a little bit too hasty with it. And the universe is saying, hey, if you do have some kind of experience in the month of June, you just make sure you slow down a bit, basically put. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. Don't want to wear rosy colored glasses too often in a dynamic like this. And you know what's wild, actually, that I just realized? If we progress into the month of July here at this 31-minute mark, 34 seconds, guess what card you get for the exact same next month? Let's pull this card away here. Your energy for the month of July is the Temperance again. The Temperance in the reversal. It is a wantingness to continue to rush and be hasty. To rush and be hasty in certain situations here. You see, this card is a resistance to the temperance that is needed in the dynamics of love and romance. And I'm using the keyword as resistance here for a reason. Because usually when somebody's resisting going down the proper and narrow and steady path of, taking time to get things, really doing the hard foundational work to get certain things, and they just want the quick fix, that's because they are resistant to taking that longer version. They want love now, they want that passion, so they jump hastily into it. And the clarification card that you have is the Strength card, a card historically connected to the carnal body. Wantingness of things to satisfy the body, wanting bodily closeness, somebody to be with, to hold you. Think of holding the body. Think of intimacy. Think of sexual activity. Think of lust. Think of feeding yourself with gluttony. Think of overspending to give to the body. Think of substances again. If you have substance use, that's connected to the body. Somebody is resistant to changing some kind of a habit that they have. And that habit could be connected to any one of those, but also could be connected to hasty decision making. You wouldn't know it, but I did just have to deal with my children for about an hour and a half straight. So let's continue with what I was saying about this hasty energy. Actually, since that is the main theme of that month of July, let's see how it switches over once we get into the month of August, because it certainly is switching over. This is that 32-minute mark here. The Six of Swords is your next energy. And it's unique because for some reason, again, it's got that travel quality that we spoke of at the beginning of the year. I don't know why it is that this theme keeps coming up for Aquarians, but this might be a year where you're not only trying to kind of find your peace in terms of love and romance, but you're also experiencing yourself in the dynamic of like shifting into where you want to go, where your feeling of identity matches with the world around you. Like sometimes that happens in life where people try to experience life in different places because they can experience a new version of their identity in that new location. And so I'm just saying, you've got an energy of travel here showing up. Six of Swords in the upright is also long distance travel, and it's ones that happen over waterways. So for some of you, it could be the kind of long distance travel that happens that could be intercontinental, like travel abroad. Now, I'm going to also say, since we are talking about relationship dynamics here, for some of you in a relationship, you might find that you're traveling with your partner in that particular month of August. For those of you who are not in a relationship, but you have had your eye on somebody, whether it's that person you originally had your eye on at the beginning of the year or somebody new, it could very well be at this point in time in the middle of August that you find yourself traveling to go and spend time with that person, especially since the preceding months were about the possibility of hastily rushing into something. I'm telling you, you guys could very well meet somebody earlier on. We're talking like that April, May area. And you guys have conversations that are very flirtatious, very quick, hasty even, rushing into a dynamic. And then there's only so much you can do when you're talking with each other for X amount of time. Suddenly you guys make the decision, hey, it's the month of August. How about we get together? How about we actually journey together a little bit here? That is also for those of you who were not in a relationship and you were thinking about dating. Again, it could be very well that for a lot of you, you might end up communicating with somebody over those beginning months. And then by the time you get into August, all of a sudden you're sitting in a position where you actually want to meet somebody. The Six of Wands is here in the reversal as a clarification card. I kind of want to pull one more and see what that's about, because the Six of Wands insinuates some kind of a loss, like a fumble, like stumbling for some reason. And let me just see what that's about. The High Priestess, resistance to your path. Okay. That's resistance to your spiritual path. And it's a loss about that. So just as a reminder, the experience that you have with this person, it could be that there's a period of time where you kind of get, like over the beginning of 2026, you kind of get so frustrated with where your identity is, including what path you want in love and having experiences with other people, that because of that difficulty, that's why you hastily hop into this situation. So there is a little bit of a lesson energy here for some of you that takes you from being spiritual and kind of jumps you into the carnal. We did get the Strength card period previously, which is the card of the carnal body. And so it's just, it's like a detour that you're doing. Like some people might really want to go the spiritual route. They're like, I want to evolve. I want to start meditating. I want to, do my breath work. But honestly, you guys look like you want to feel with your body is the essence here. Go places with your body, feel with your body, deal with the carnal body. And it's not like that's not spiritual. It is a part of spirituality. It's just the material and carnal side of it. And I think that would insinuate that there may be a lesson that you're going to have to learn a little bit later on. But it's nothing too bad, though, in the month of August. Again, it's just like going to have an experience with somebody, meeting up with somebody with respect to your body. Some of you might be traveling to get down. If you like travel to kick some boots together, man. I do also want to say that something that keeps coming into my mind repetitively is that the Six of Wands is a card of reputation in the reversal. So there might be a wantingness for you to be seen by another person in a certain way. This may be why you're deciding to travel somewhere. Like you want them to know you and see you in a certain way. Just remember to see yourselves. Remember that your value doesn't come from the way that somebody else sees you. Your value is inherently here because you are you. You are a whole damn human already. You were birthed into that value. You don't need necessarily another person to validate that for you, but on the alternative, validation is a human energy. It is something that people do need sometimes to get to that point where they begin to value their own selves. But at that point in the month of August, again, it feels like you want to be seen. So yeah, just a little bit of a heads up on that. Okay, so we have now here in the month of September. We're coming up to the end of the reading soon, by the way, guys. The last couple of months here. We're going into the month of September, and the Two of Swords is here all of a sudden. The Two of Swords energy is usually somebody who's very guarded. But I kind of like that it's in the reversal position, because the Two of Swords in the reversal, there's a really unique meaning that Arthur Edward Waite gave to that particular card. And not a lot of people, excuse me. Sorry, I didn't mean to like burp in the middle of your guys' reading. There's a really interesting energy that Arthur Edward Waite gives to the Two of Swords in the reversal about somebody who's very guarded and can have anxiety trying to protect themselves. And the energy is of somebody who cares enough to try and protect themselves. So it could be you who really is starting to kind of care about another individual and does not want to get hurt again. And it could also be a person that you are dealing with that is caring enough to feel that sense of being protected. I do want to say, though, it is important to note that the Two of Swords is a card of duplicity. That's why it's involving the energy of two. And it's not usually a beneficent is the word I was looking for there. A beneficent energy of duplicity. It's usually the kind of duplicity that happens where on one hand, somebody does care, but on the other hand, somebody has a propensity towards being dishonorable. So there's a little bit of like a avoidant energy, gaslighty energy, because it can be the card of falsehood. Let me just grab an extra clarification card here to see what's going on with that. Is it you, I wonder, that's still staying in a clouded joy? Remember that card in June about the clouded joy? Is it you giving yourself a falsehood about this dynamic? Seven of Wands in the reversal. That's an interesting one to get. It's another protective energy, but it's being defeated about something. Oh, a falsehood about defeat. That makes sense. My intuition is just downloading here. I think that the dynamic that you have set up for you, there keeps being a repetitive warning. It's happened, I think this is the 4th month now, about cloudedness that comes when everything looks like it's going really good, but there's going to be like a straw that breaks the camel's back at some point in the future. You know, just be aware of that. Just be aware of that dynamic. It looks like you could be a little bit guarded in the month of September with a person, and it could be the energy of things are too good to be true. It doesn't look like a problem in the month because the energy of defeat isn't the event card. It's the clarification of why you're guarded or why this person is guarded. It's an anticipatory card. It's almost like, yes, you feel like things are going really good and you're having really good experiences. And for some of you, maybe you're traveling, like I said, but there's still this almost wondering notion in the back of your mind if you have to protect yourself, because if you are clouding your own judgment here, usually your intuition underneath you is also going to like bring that up. And it will be kind of hard to ignore. It'll keep you in a guarded state even when things are going good. So, okay, nothing too negative about that. Just guardedness is coming from that month of September. Your month of October, let's just talk about that now for a second here. We're coming up, like I said, to the end of the entire reading. And we have the Two of Coins. Another two. Let me think about that for a second here, because two cards, they're both in the upright position. Both of these twos, they're sitting right next to each other. And historically speaking, according to Arthur Edward Waite, he loved clarification cards. If there's ever a tarot reader out there that tells you should not use clarification cards, it means you're not a good reader. Horse shit. That talk to the man himself. He gave specific instructions of one card clarifying another card. In fact, the entire premise of tarot is to have clarification cards because the Fool goes on a journey on the path of life where he bumps into each of the characters, and each of the characters clarify each of the other characters. So 2 of Pentacles in the upright position with the 2 of Swords in the upright position here. Let me get into it. Very specifically for you too. Because 2 twos is mistrust. And we just saw how guarded you were for some reason in the previous month. Well, you know what though? In the upright position though, actually, it's a cord after mistrust. It's coming together. It's actually taking that mistrust that you had and coming into harmony. And that makes sense, actually, because, again, the 2 of Swords, well, it was in the reversal position. That does make sense, too, right? If you have 2 cards in the upright that are the number 2, it means a cord. If you have 2 cards in the reversal, it is mistrust. But in this energy, we had 1 in the upright, 1 in the reversal. That's why we can intuitively merge it together to give the insinuation that after mistrust, you have a cord, and the mistrust seems to be happening in the previous month, in the month of September. And then the 2 of Pentacles, which is a card of balancing things, suddenly the harmony occurs for you in the month of October. I also want to mention, most people don't realize that because the 2 of Pentacles has to do with balancing, and it's got pentacles, so money, the traditional sense of the 2 of Coins was actually something that happened in formats of communication. What I mean when I say that is, most people miss that the 2 of Pentacles is not just about balancing your life, holding 2 objects in your hands. Historically, what it took to balance out money in the medieval ages, in the Victorian era, you actually wrote down a balance sheet that was a ledger. And because it required writing of communication to balance out someone's bank statement, that 2 of Coins actually is the card of communication in writing, letters of communication. And so there will be likely an increase of balancing and balanceful, if I can say it like that, communications between you and another person. Between you and the Knight of Wands in the reversal. Knight of Wands in the reversal, you know what? This is why you were mistrusting the situation. People give the Knight of Wands a really bad rep. They say that he's a person who is non-committal. He is very commitment worthy, even in the upright, even sometimes in the reversal position. But what happens with the Knight of Wands traditionally is he is the card of division in a battle. He is a knight. He's charging into battle. And that insinuates that there could be tense moments that come from that month before when you were mistrusting. And now, let me get my pen here. The balancing is happening because of a potential of some division that happened the month before. Balancing out the division is what's happening here. Balancing out why there seemed like there was a division in the past. That puts you at a really good energy for the month of October, to be honest. What I don't necessarily like, though, is the next card. The next month, into the month of November, like we've got good balance all of a sudden. We've had this experience. Okay, there's clouded judgment. There's rushing into things, but I bet you it feels good. I bet you it's filled with passion. You know, there's travel and passion, but even though it's a little bit clouded, you finally do get to this energy of balance in October, but then 1 month later, you've got the High Priestess card in the reversal, and we're going to talk about that now. Let me just put these back here. That High Priestess card is the card of, just like the Temperance in the reversal, resisting the path, resisting the spiritual path. Actually, remember the High Priestess in the Dark Fantasy deck. It did come up at one point, and it did come up in the reversal. It's still sitting in the reversal. There is still a dynamic of something you're resistant to all the way up to the end of the year. And the universe seemingly keeps nagging at you for it. Because remember, this is your reading. This is an Aquarius reading. If there was a lesson of resistance, it would show up in your other person's reading. Unless you're cross-watching and your person is an Aquarius. In which case, the Aquarian involved in this, they're resistant to the spiritual aspect. They're so interested in the body dynamic. Let me grab one of those clarification cards here. As we get to the end of 2026, what is the resistance about? The Eight of Pentacles. Mastering something. I'm going to pull another one out here. It's the master to the student. It's education. It's resistance to learning something. A bit of resistance to learning a particular lesson. What's the lesson here? 10 of Swords. Jeez. It's the lesson of letting go. It's the lesson of holding on to past betrayals. 10 of Swords in the reversal. 10 of Swords is also resistance, but it's resistance to letting go. High Priestess in the reversal is resistance to the spiritual growth and path that you would find in the Hermit card. 10 of Swords is when an ending has happened at some sort, and there's a resistance to that ending and the lessons involved in it. For some of you, I'm starting to get a feel that the mistrustful energy that has happened in the month of September that is being balanced out in October may actually be the Knight of Wands that we previously spoke of. There might be a division between you and a person that's trying to get balanced. You don't like that division. By the end of this year, that 10 of Swords indicates that you are resistant to an ending of that. For some of you, that will be the case. So watch out for that between those months of, I think it's going to be between probably September to be specific, but between September and October, you're wrestling with that. And into November, you're still wrestling with it. But on a more likely note, it's going to be people who are resisting the spiritual path itself and ending the body thing that you're doing. Ending the desire to be so attached to the experience of being like next to someone, cuddled, intimate, lustful, sexual, indulgent, experiencing something with people of the body persuasion. Like waking up to someone all the time, being in a relationship. It's like you've got to this point where you get to have something that you want, but you got it off of the foundation of how your body was leading you, and the universe is kind of saying to you, you can't always go for that. You do have to dip some of the spiritual in here. And I'm sure some of you do dip into the spiritual, but the universe is still saying more, please. It's heavy on the carnal energy for this. Heavy on letting your body and your anxieties and your stress responses and your hormones lead you. And more of a need to make conscious decisions from a spiritually conscious plane than just letting your body lead you into the things that feel good in the moment. And that leads us to the last month here. My goodness. For this month of December, will the lesson get learned? Let's see what the last card is. Ooh, yeah, I like that, man. I like that. In your entire reading, we've dealt with a lot of reversal cards. That 2 of Swords was in reversal. The Temperance was in reversal. The Devil in reversal. That Ace of Wands was in reversal. And then the 2 of Coins in the upright. And the King of Pentacles is in the upright. Even that High Priestess was in the reversal. We had a lot of reversal energy. The King of Pentacles, though, the King of Pentacles is when you use your intellect. I know everyone who is reader of tarot is going to be like, no, that belongs to the King of Swords. I'm telling you, modern tarot has twisted it. People who think of swords automatically think of, the swords equal the mental. They equal the suit of the air. And they think of it in terms of astrology. But Arthur Edward Waite, I've said it earlier in this reading, he did not attribute astrology to the tarot cards because he preferred to look at them through the lens of the Albigensians, who were not interested in the material world and things like astrology. Again, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn was more influential, or perhaps it was Eliphas Levi, however you say his name, who was more integrated into the astrological meanings of tarot. But when you're interpreting based on Arthur Edward Waite's version, it was the King of Pentacles who meant intelligence, because he was the one who was given the functional task. Remember, you look at the cards for their the symbols as their function. A sword wasn't about your mind. A sword was it was a battle weapon in functional symbolism. And the Pentacles, the King of the Pentacles, was the one who grew things. That's why he's covered in vines all over him. He's usually surrounded by abundance and trees and growth. He's the one who has to be smart enough to do that. So he's actually the card of intellect. like stringent intellect. He can actually be really severe with his intelligence. Like he can be kind of cutthroat with the way that he speaks. A thing that usually people attribute to the King of Swords actually belongs to the King of Pentacles when reading the traditional tarot. Let's grab a clarification card here. Ooh, King of Wands is in the reversal. Another card which historically gets such a bad reputation. The King of Wands. You're looking at this. If you've listened to tarot or you've read readings, you're going to be like, damn it. Damn it, the King of Wands. He's so non-committal. Oh my gosh, he's that liar card. Why did I have to get the liar? Why do I have to deal with another man that's a liar? I am so sorry for you in this case. Just if you think that, because King of Wands is actually the one card who in the upright and the reversal means truth. He is a seeker and a pursuer of truth in everything that he does. He is not a card of non-committalness. The problem he has in the reversal is he is severe. The phrase is specifically austere yet severe. He does not have a bad bone of mistruth in his body. He is the penultimate energy of the suit of the wands. The suit of the wands is the most important and valuable of all of the minor arcana suits. You cannot have the cups of emotions without a wand and direction and choice to know what you're going to do with your emotions. If you have the air and you want to connect it to your intellect, what good is air or intellect or swords? Even a sword just to battle things, what good is that if you don't know what you're doing with the direction of the choices you're making? That's why when Arthur Edward Waite created his instructions on his tarot for his deck, he put the suit of wands first in his book. He speaks about it first. The King of Wands is a severe gentleman when he's in the reversal. You did get him in the reversal. So the King of Coins is here. It's severe intelligence. The King of Wands is here in the reversal. It's severe truth. That tells me in the moment of December, you get a fucking huge reality check. But it's not a negative, destructive tower reality check. It's not one that had to have something ripped out from under you. It's actually one that you have inside of your own self. It's like this massive aha moment where you say to yourself, oh shit, I know how to do this now. I know how to get what I want now. Because that's what a king does, by the way. The king gets what he wants. These are both kings in the upright position. And if this is you and another person, because it's two kings, usually it represents two people. Court cards are typically the energies of people. Both of you guys, if you're dating somebody, you are both completely aware of what it takes now to deal with the truth of your situation. There's no blindsiding each other. There's no fucking around. There's no somebody is a little bit wishy-washy. Nope. If this is two people and you're with somebody in the month of December, both of you guys have a level head on your shoulder and both of you guys are going to get into like, this is it mode. We're going to do this mode. For those of you who are not with somebody at that point in December, then these energies both belong to you. And this is the kind of dynamic where you, like I said, you realize the truth. You're like, holy shit, I can do this. Holy shit, I know how to do this now. You've had some massive intellectual, intelligence-based realization, but the realization is about how to get what you want, because that's what the wands, right? The wands, the King of Pentacles grows what he wants. The King of Wands manifests what he wants no matter what. He's got a magic fucking wand in his hand. What do you think he does with that wand? He creates what he wants, right? So you're getting what you want. And in the month of December, you don't just get it because you're being flippant about it and just rushing hastily into things anymore. Suddenly in the month of December, you actually learn the strategy of how to get it. If it's love you want, you know the strategy. If it's a new house and you want to move in with someone, you see the strategy and how to do it. If you want travel with someone, you see, oh shit, if I put piece 1 here and piece 2 there, I can get it strategically. This is the dynamic. You're gaining a sense of strategical perfection in the month of December to get what you want. And if that's the attitude and the energy you have for the year, the December month of 2026, then I don't even know what to say about where you're going to be at in the coming year of 2027 after that, because that's a great energy to start off with. This boost in energy of intellect. And you know what that's the opposite of? Clouded fucking judgment that you would have had in the middle part of the year of 2026. It's a massive transition for Aquarius straight into the realms of intellect. And I love that for you. So I'm going to tell you lastly, what I don't see with this card. You know, in all of this reading, as much as there's some ups, there's some downs, there's some passion, there's some cloudedness, I saw one card of the devil and it was in the reversal. It was about getting out of a problem, right? There's no heartbreak card here. There's no Three of Swords. There's no Tower moment collapsing around you, you know? You got a Ten of Swords in the reversal energy and a little bit of division, but that was it. That was your only negative card that actually spoke to true negative experience. The rest of them were negative concepts within yourself. Only one energy that looked like there was an actual event outside of you that was a little bit harder to handle. Because you got allowed, again, clouded joy. Okay, that still means you're having a joyous time. It just means you're a little bit naive about it. And so I think it's going to be kind of fun. You also got a lot of travel cards here. So I think it's interesting dynamic to bring in as well for 2026. So I'm going to leave you guys off with that. I have one more horoscope sign to do. The sign of Pisces. And I'm probably only going to get to do it tomorrow. But I will try my best because my kids... I swear I was in the kitchen for like 8 hours today, nonstop. I didn't even get to clean my basement. So I wanted to take the time to come up here, do this reading with you guys, and I have got it done. We are uploading it now to you. If you ever want to come back and read this reading, you absolutely can. Check it out in the future if you want to. The timestamps will be here in the description of the video. Many blessings to you. I will talk to you whenever, and ciao for now.